I reviewed 22 products this year. There were a bunch of new iPads, some amazing Android tablets, really solid drawing tablets from XP Pen, Huion, Wacom, and Sense Labs. We even saw some Snapdragon-powered Windows laptop/tablets that dramatically improved battery life. It's been a really amazing year for tech, and so I'm doing what I do every year. I am just ranking my favorite devices that I've used this year. Now, 22 devices, bit much. So what we're doing instead is I'm just going to do a top 10 list, and we'll start at my least favorite, but not really because it's in my top 10, so you're pretty darn good, and go up to my favorite thing of the year at number 1. Now, while I'm ranking things, I'm not just looking at the overall best product that I used. Otherwise, that would probably be some of the more expensive products I've used this year. I'm also factoring in value. How much are you getting for what you are paying? So spoilers, the iPad Pro is not number 1, even though it's a phenomenal product. It's also a really expensive product. And so for a lot of people, I don't think the value is there. So other things are going to rank higher. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's just roll into it. I want to start with number 10. It is this, the Link Plus Link Studio S1. I had never heard of this brand before this year, and it came very close to not making this list, but I wanted to get it on here for a couple reasons. One, this is a Surface Pro clone designed specifically for artists. What makes it designed for artists? Well, there's a couple things. The first thing is this pen. This is not an MPP pen, which you find on most Windows devices. An MPP pen has its benefits, it has its positives. This is something you'll find on the Surface Pro, many other devices out there. This is a Wacom powered pen, so it's just a better pen. It gives you a better line. There's none of that little line wobble that you find on those MPP pens. It's just a great pen. The other thing that this device is doing is on the screen itself. This has a textured matte surface on the front, so when you're drawing with that pen, there's a little bit of resistance. It gives you a little bit more control when you're drawing on that screen, control that you might not necessarily get if you're drawing on a smooth glass screen, which you are on most Windows devices. And as you can see from the video here, the other big benefit here is there's actually some shortcut keys along the front of the device, something that you find on drawing tablets a lot, but you almost never find on actual full computers. Another thing designed specifically for artists. So many of you might be looking at this and saying, wow, this is perfect. This is exactly what I've been looking for. But there's a reason that it's number 10 and it didn't get higher on this list. The first thing is the build quality. This is a fairly inexpensive device. It retails for around $1,000-ish. That's a pretty good deal for what you're getting. But one of the things that I worry about is the keyboard case. On these devices, these tablets that have these detachable keyboards, those keyboards can wear out over time. Now, if you bought a Surface 3 years ago and it's still working great for you, no problem. 10 years later, you can still go to Microsoft and buy a keyboard that fits that old device, and boom, you're refreshed, you're good as new. This, is proprietary. The connectors, there's nothing else you could buy for this. This is the only keyboard that connects to this tablet. That worries me a little bit. If this keyboard wears out and it's not the best build quality in the world, you're out of luck. You're just not going to be able to use a keyboard cover for this because it might not be sold a year from now, even 6 months from now. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We don't know. The other thing worth noting here is price per value sort of a thing, is the processor in this. This is an 11th gen Intel processor. It's a solid processor, but it's also several years old at this point. We're up to the 13th gen. If it was a 12th gen, I'd say, okay, jump into it. But at $900, you can find other devices that are offering a better processor and something that just is going to last you longer. But overall, still a good device. I hope they keep updating it and creating new versions of this in the future. Quick heads up before the next one, I am running a Black Friday sale still weeks later over on bradsartschool.com. For my class, Learn to Draw in 60 Days. There's also a 30-day refund, so if you're looking to give this as a gift, I'm extending that refund into mid-January, so if you do buy it a little bit early, you're going to be covered there. Anyway, the next item on the list. Number 9, we have XP Pen's Magic Drawing Pad. This was XP Pen's jump into the world of Android tablets. They've been making Windows and Mac drawing accessories for years and years and years, so them bringing their pen tech to the Android ecosystem was really, really awesome. Huion tried something similar. I should put an asterisk by this. Both of those companies released Android tablets at the beginning of 2024. Huion's was really cheap. The screen was terrible. It was a good price. It was like $200, $250, but the pen itself was just a standard off-the-shelf pen. It didn't have any of that Huion magic. This is a $500 device. It's not, I wouldn't say expensive for an Android tablet, but it's a little pricier. But it's got that XP pen. Also, there's a matte screen on it, kind of like the Link Studio we talked about a minute ago. That's something rare to find on a device like this. This might be the only Android tablet I've used with a matte screen. It's a little texture. It's just going to give you more pen control for artists. That's great. The screen looks really, really good, even though it is a matte screen. Oftentimes those mattes can dull the colors. The colors still really pop on this. I think XP Pen did a great job. One of the things that I think they can improve on in the next iteration, though, is getting the pen to be a little bit more accurate. Right now, even though you get the pressure, you get the nice line quality, the pen is off by a few pixels. They added the ability recently, a few months ago, to calibrate this and set that up, so it has improved. But either way, I think it was a great jump into Android from XP Pen, and I hope to see more of this in the future. Next up is the Asus ProArt PZ13. Now, this Surface clone starts at $1,100, but I've seen it going for about $850 this holiday season. I'll link that down below in the description with all the other products. This was the first place where I had to make a big decision. There was a new Surface Pro tablet that came out this year, and I had to decide if I was going to put it on this list. This is a very, very similar product. It looks and feels the same. It uses the same pen. The reason that this came on the list and I had to kick the Surface Pro off was because I think this is just a better value. The keyboard is packed in. The pen is packed in. And what makes them so similar is that they both have a Snapdragon processor under the hood. This has been a big year for Microsoft in general. They've been trying for years to make this jump from the Intel world and those processors over to ARM, similar to what Apple did when they went from Intel to their M1 series a few years back. This is the first time it's really worked for them. Microsoft has worked on the software, has gotten their compatibility up, and this time it has really taken hold, and you see it in products like this Asus laptop here. There are two big benefits for artists. The first one is battery life. Before, if you got a tablet like this, you're getting 2, maybe 3 hours of drawing time out of it. Now you're getting like 6 hours of drawing time out of it. You're just getting extended life. If you turn this off, something that happens all the time here when I'm testing something, so I'll be working on a video on a Friday, I'll turn off a laptop or a tablet, I'll set it on my desk, and I come back Monday morning, the battery is dead, even though it's been sitting in standby all weekend. With these new processors, you'll lose like 8% charge over the weekend. Just that drain of the battery overnight, if it's not plugged in, is so much less. And the other thing artists are going to notice is that these processors are more power efficient, so they don't run as hot. That's another thing that happens on these tablets a lot of times. Since your hand is resting on it, you're going to notice where that processor is. You're going to notice that screen heating up. You're going to notice the device heating up, especially if it's plugged in and charging. Here, you could use it longer, so you don't have to plug it in and charge it quite as much, so it's not as hot to the touch. You won't have to wear a glove as much to make sure your hand smoothly slides around. There's just a lot of benefits here. Number 7 on this list is the Galaxy Tab S10 Ultra. I said Ultra, but it could be the 10 Plus as well. There's 2 sizes this year. There's the 10 Plus, which is like a 12.4 inch screen, and there's the Ultra, which is almost 15 inches. I love these tablets, and if we're going off of just like, what is the best thing I've used this year? What is the best product? This might be like number 1 or number 2 on this list, but what it comes down to is price per value. This is just a modest spec bump over last year's S9. In fact, some people might say it's a downgrade because it's no longer using a Snapdragon processor. It's using a MediaTek processor, even though they're kind of comparable. Some of the other upgrades they made here are just kind of small. In fact, you might be better off finding like an S9 that's listed at a lower price and picking that up because it's just so similar to this. Now, price-wise, the S10 Ultra is starting at $1,200 and the S10 Plus is starting at about $1,000, $999. And there's different memory configurations and storage configurations you can get here as well. The Ultra's screen is an OLED screen. It is absolutely beautiful. These things come with Wacom pens like the S Pen that come with all of Samsung's S line line of tablets, which is a great pen to draw with. I have gushed about these products. Go check out my review if you want to know more. What I think this comes down to is this is a really expensive product, and so therefore it's not for everybody. I think some of their mid-level products, like the S9 FE, is probably a better fit for most people in terms of price to performance. However, if you want the best Android tablet out there, this is it. This is what you gotta go for. Number 6, I'm staying with the theme. This is one of those things that would have been on the top of the list. Again, this is the iPad Pro, and the reason it edges out the Galaxy Tab S10 this year is because it's using a dual OLED display, and what Apple has done with this display is truly beautiful. I used the matte textured version. Sagi from Tech Gear Talk let me borrow his for a few days just to try it out, and I was blown away when I got that thing out in the sun. Just looking at it, it's like looking at it inside. This screen is that bright. Now, the standard glossy ones, you do get some reflection, and so you don't quite get that same effect. However, it's just phenomenal that we can now use an iPad outside in full sun, and it just works. It's kind of crazy. The downside here is it comes at a price. The smaller iPad Pro starts at $1,000, and that larger 12-inch one starts at $1,300. That is the highest starting point of any iPad ever. They've also updated the Apple Pencil. This is using the Apple Pencil Pro. As far as drawing and that sort of thing, it's identical to all of the other pencils. However, they've added some extra features. There's like a barrel roll feature, which lets you twist the pen and do some different things. You can also squeeze the barrel for more actions in some apps. So they've added some things hidden here. None of them I think are like absolutely necessary, but they're nice features to have. Number 5 is a tie, and these are our first 19-inch drawing tablets we've seen, which is a really good size. We have the XP Pen Artist Pro 19 and the Huion Kamvas Pro 19. The Huion Kamvas starts at $1,100 and the XP Pen starts at $900. Now, these devices are so very similar that if you're just looking at those prices and you see them listed at those prices, I would go with the XP Pen. However, what I'm seeing around holiday time right now is the prices are kind of comparable in the $820 to $850 range for either of these. And when you start to get into that range, you see the same 4K display, you see very similar pen technology, you see kind of the same features spread across both of these displays. It's kind of a toss-up, you know? I say go with the one that's the slightly lower price. I think the pen on the Huion performs a little bit better, but I think for most people, you're not really going to notice that. In the past, when these display companies have made kind of these larger displays, like usually they were like 21, 22 inches, they take up your whole desk. They're really thick, they're really heavy. This is kind of like a 16-inch tablet that's just grown a little bit. It's not that thick, and so it's easy to move around your desk. It's easy to fold out the legs and just kind of set it up at any angle. These are just really nice tablets. I really like this size. I think this is going to be perfect for a lot of artists who don't want to spend quite as much on maybe a larger tablet or need a little more flexibility around their desk with their tablet than maybe a larger 22 or 24 inch would provide, but want to get a little bit more than those 16-inch tablets. I think it's a really good compromise. Number 4, we're going to go with a Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. Again, it's on this list. This is the third iteration of this tablet. I forget what year the original one came out, and then just a few years ago in 2022, they updated the processor but kept everything else in this tablet the same. And then again this year in 2024, they updated the processor just a tiny bit, kept everything else the same. And the reason it makes this list is in terms of quality, in terms of the screen, this is probably the lowest quality screen on this list. However, in terms of price, you can usually find this for around $250. And I think that you're getting like a really good Android tablet, right? Full service Android tablet with a really good pen for $250 for anybody really starting in digital art who wants to get into the Android ecosystem. This is where to start. A few weeks ago, I made a video calling what are the best deals in drawing tech, and I listed the entry-level iPad, and I listed this because I really do think for most artists just getting into this stuff, this is your entry spot. I would say make sure to get the model that has 2024 in the title. Some people are still selling the original one from years ago. That processor is way too slow. You're going to hate it. It's not going to run a lot of your drawing apps really well. But this one, this new one, this 2024 one, fantastic. Number 3 is the Wacom Movink 13. Now, Wacom is always making really good products that make my list. They do it every year, but here's the thing, they never make it this high on this list because of the price point. This is fairly expensive. This is a 13-inch drawing tablet that plugs into your PC or your Mac that is starting at $750. But what makes this special is that this is the thinnest drawing tablet that you can buy. It is ultra mega portable, and I love that Wacom is going down this road. Many of the other artist drawing tablets out there are thin enough where you could fit them in a bag, but this is truly portable because it is so thin and light. It's about the thickness and size of a larger iPad. This is also an OLED display, something you don't see on many tablets that you plug directly into your computer. And this is kind of huge. You're getting Wacom's Pro Pen 3. If you're buying a Wacom device, the reason that you really want that is because you want Wacom's Pro Pen. They make the technology that goes into those S Pens that I've talked about earlier in this video, but that Pro Pen is a big step up from that. It is just really nice. It's the best pen out there, right? You're getting this on this ultra portable device that's a decent cost, still a little bit expensive, but you're getting that Wacom quality. I think it belongs here. I really like what Wacom has done here. I hope they continue to bring out these kind of mid-level tablets that are kind of innovating in some of these ways. I would love to see a 16-inch tablet sometime in the future that's very similar to this. Number 2 on this list is the Huion Kamvas 13 Gen 3. This thing starts at $250. Now, this is another 13-inch tablet. The price is really good. That's the main reason that it's up here. The other thing worth noting is that this has Huion's latest pen. They're calling this their Pen Tech 4. So for $250, you get a really nice, better than it has any business being, bright 13.3-inch display. You're getting this phenomenal pen at this great price. I felt like it had to be here. It's not as good as those 19-inch tablets, but the sacrifices you're making for the price are almost non-existent. I think this is just a tremendous value. If you're just getting into like the drawing space and you're looking for like an entry-level tablet to connect to your PC or your Mac, this is one that I would really seriously look into. And it's one that's going to last you a really long time because of the quality of the pen and the screen. It's not a high-res screen. It's just a standard like full HD screen, but at 13 inches, you know, that's good enough. I think when you take those full HD screens and you start blowing them up to 16, then you start to see pixels, but at 13 inches, it's crisp enough. You only need one cable to connect this, so if you have a USB Type-C connection in your computer that will take it, you just take out the tablet, you connect it with one thing. Super simple to set up. And then, of course, it has the shortcut keys. It has these 2 dials where you can adjust the size of your brush or zoom in and out or rotate your canvas or set it up to do whatever you want. Overall, I just thought, for the price, this is a really good product. So that brings us to number 1 on this list. What is number 1? It is the iPad Air. Now, why is the iPad Air number 1 on this list? Well, it's basically everything that you're getting for the price point. This thing starts at $600. Now, that's not cheap, but it's significantly cheaper than the iPad Pro. You're getting a really nice screen. It's not an OLED. It's not a dual OLED. It's just an LCD display, but it's a really nice LCD display. It works with the Apple Pencil Pro, and it has the M2 processor. I mean, this processor is freaking amazing. There's also a larger 12.4-inch option as well. So if you don't want to pay $1,300 for the largest iPad, you could pay $800, get the size that you're looking for, and you get it with the Air. This is one of those devices that if you buy now, it's going to work perfectly well for you, probably better than perfectly well, for 5, 6, 7 years down the road. Spending $600 for a drawing device that you're going to use for a huge chunk of your career is a really good value. And even though the Pro is a really nice iPad, I think for most people going with this version at this price is probably the way to go. But what do you think? That is my list for the year. What did I miss? What would you put on there? There was a lot of stuff that I had to drop from it that was solid, but just wasn't innovating a lot. But what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.